So whenever they asked him a question on the Gemara, he didn't know it. He said, "No, ich meine the andere Halbschas. Ich meine the andere Halbschas." With Reb Tzadok HaKohen, there was another story. Reb Tzadok, the famous Reb Tzadok, was once they were trying to push him into a rebbe, and the people said, "Who's he? Who is this guy? This young guy? Why should we push him in?" So someone said to them, "What are you talking about? He's an Adam Choshev. He's someone who you can feher on halb shas." So they asked Rav Tzadok, "Which halb can we feher you on?" He says, "Whichever halb you want." So that's the real one. So I'll call upon them. So who said that Rabbi Yehuda means the last half of Plag HaMincha? Maybe he means the first half. So even though Rabbi Yehuda holds ad ve'ad b'chlal, he means ad Plag HaMincha, meaning up to the first half. So if Mincha Katana starts at 9.5 hours into the day, so the first half ad ve'ad b'chlal is the time to daven Mincha according to Rabbi Yehuda, which will actually end an hour and a quarter, Shos Manios, before the end of the day. And maybe that's what he means. V'hachi kamar, emas nofik plag rishona v'ayel plag achrona. When does the first half of the Zman of Mincha Katana go out and the second half comes in? Mechinofki yud aleph shoyz chaser revia. 11 and a quarter hours. 10 and 3/4 hours. 11 and 3/4 hours from the beginning of the day. It's 11 minus a quarter, 10 3/4. I'm sorry. That's right. Because then there's an hour and a quarter left till the end of the day. I work backwards. It's an hour and a quarter before the end of the day. That's right. And therefore that's a machlokes. So Kum Tachas Rabbi Yehuda, like we wanted, holds ad ve'ad b'chlal. Going back to Shachris, we have the first 4 hours to be able to daven Shachris. It doesn't stop at the end of the third hour. The Zman Shachris stops at the end of the fourth hour. Avada, even if you missed that, you're supposed to still daven. The Gemara tells us you just don't have the extra mile of Bismana. Amar Rab Nachman Afanan Nami Tanina. We also learned a brayso that supports this position. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava Heyed Chamisha Devarim. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava said edus on 5 things. Number 1, Shemimanin es aktana, that you insist that a ktana does mean. So what does miyun mean? We know a father is allowed to marry a daughter off if she's a ktana. If a girl loses her father and she's a ktana, we allow her brother and her mother to marry her off. That's not a kedushin d'oraisa. That's only a kedushin d'rabbanan. And this girl has a right to walk out on her marriage with absolutely no get at any time she wants. Now, what happens if 2 brothers married 2 sisters? So Ruvain married a girl who was a gedola, so he married her with a kedushin d'oraisa. And Shimon married this ketana, so his wife is only married to him midrabanan, and she could walk at any minute. And lo yaleinu, Reuven dies and does not leave over any children. So now Reuven's wife is zokuk liyibum midoraisa to Shimon. Shimon has to do yibum. The problem is now he's married to his Yavama sister. Midrabanan, exactly. So what we do is we tell this girl, you want to live with Shimon? Look at his nose. Ugh. You want to walk on this guy. You want to live with Shimon? He's a disgusting guy. He's nasty. Walk. This way she walks away from the marriage, and then he could marry his sister-in-law. He could marry Reuven's almana. Chaim Tzvi is objecting to the methods.
I'm
Maybe
saying that we have a first time I've ever heard of lashon hara lishma.
He doesn't have to do it the way Yossi said.
Yeah.
You can fine-tune it.
You can find
and say,
the
I
years.
might have a better shidduch for you or a different shidduch for you. He's giving you...
Same idea.
That's right.
The idea basically, Akiva, is to say don't take him, which is a lashon hara. For some reason, don't take him. I got time better.
Well, are you allowed to tell her walk away from the marriage because it's conflicting with your sister? Are you allowed to do that? Maybe they can tell her your sister's in trouble, and there'll be a problem here with halacha. Walk because of that. They don't have to dafka, but they have to convince her. But they do have to convince her.
Akiva was right. We're inaccurate.
Why is chalitza not an option?
We're not accurate.
I'm sorry?
Why is chalitza not an option at this problem? That's what I'm just saying. Chalitza.
Because the nice nation to Rabbona that stopped.
Yeah, because
I
No, he won't. He'll lalacha, she'll become usher on him. His real wife, the wife that he's going to make mean will become usher on him because she's not really married to him, and she becomes eshes chalutzah. She'll be a problem. He won't be able to stay with her anyway. I'm sorry? Okay. Okay. Zog the Gemara weiter. Yaraj v'zika zu oiseres es ishtoi olav mishum achois kuka shika achois ishtoi. She actually becomes usher to him. She'll actually become usher to him. So he can't stay with her anyway. So the easiest way
The requirement to do yibum is greater than...
Correct. It ushers this girl to him who's technically not related to him at all, not married to him. So to get us out of a pinch in the easiest way, we instruct her to do miyun. Okay, that's number one. And then another thing, these are nebuch tragic situations. If a woman is an aguna and you don't know what happened to her husband, if one aide comes along and says that I saw that her husband was killed, you could rely on that to allow her to remarry. Now, the last thing you might think is unusual. Normally, if a behemoth kills a person, they kill the animal. But chickens aren't so strong. How often would it be? How could a chicken kill a human? So he said edus on a chicken that was niskal Yerushalayim al shahargas nefesh. That even a carnival could get killed for killing somebody. It's funny because this week on the news, there was a story in India with a person who was killed by a chicken. It happened this week in India. It was a rooster because he was going to a rooster fight. He was going to a cockfight, which is illegal. But he had a rooster that he was entering into a cockfight, and he had put razor blades on the legs, I guess to give it an advantage in the fight, and the rooster didn't want to be part of that fight. The rooster says, I'm not a fighter, I get along with people, why are you forcing me to fight? So as this rooster is fighting back because he doesn't want to go, and you know it killed. There was another story with a woman who raised roosters. I also read a news that happened in 2016. She had bad varicose veins, and she raised chickens, and the chicken pecked away at her leg, and she actually bled to death because. So it does happen.
That was in North America. That was in North America.
Oh, with the peck, I don't know. The other thing is that wine after it's fermented for 40 days is considered wine and then of a goy. So that was 4 items so far. And the 5th item is Valtomit Shel Shachar, which is negay to us. Valtomit Shel Shachar. And the Tomit Shel Shachar, Shekarev Bi Arba Shoyis. He said, Edus that he saw in the base of Mikdash, they will makriv the korban Shachar in the 4th hour. So that clearly would indicate that Rabbi Yehuda's Shita is that you could daven mincha just like the korban Tomit until the end of the 4th hour. Shema Mina, Ad Va'ad Bechlal, Shema Mina. Omar Rav Kahana, Halacha Rabbi Yehuda, Hoil Utnan Bebechirasa Kavase. This is a mission. Edus is a masechta that's very, very reliable, and therefore, since the mission in Edus supports Rabbi Yehuda, we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda that Tefillah Shachris is until the end of the 4th hour. So Rabbi Elephant had a lot of interesting things to say about this, because we're talking about the Toder v'Sheni Toder when you have Mincha and you have Musaf together. So first of all, even though our Brisa tells us that you should daven Mincha first according to the Rabbanon, if it's time for both, that's only if you're davening b'yachid, the Rishonim speak out. But in a tzibur, you shouldn't do that, because then people are going to see that that's how it was done in the minyan, and people are going to think that normally Mincha comes before Musaf. So with tzibur, you should always be davening Musaf first and then Mincha. And because of that, the Matei Ephraim says on Yom Kippur, where Shachris goes very, very late, it's a long Shachris, there's a hakpada that you should daven, you should finish Shachris and start Musaf before the Zman Mincha, so you shouldn't run into this problem. Because on Yom Kippur it's possible where the Zman Musaf and the Zman Mincha are at the same time.
Can you mention that to the Baal Shabbos?
Well, you used to be a problem until we started pre-selling the aliyahs. Now we have
Aha.
extra time.
In Tosh, if we can start Musaf before Shkia, they're happy. Tosh is where?
The case of what we do on Yom Kippur, the choices of the
Chovches or Kovches? Chovches. Oh, so we'll see it soon. Okay, shkoyach.
Bring the raya for this price. Rav Yehuda says be'ar b'shul. And in our Mishnah it says ara b'shul.
Right.
Yehuda himself used two different languages, and you bring the raya that they mean the same thing. Be'ar b'shul is clear. That's what.
1 second. Yeah.
What's the raya?
So I just want to repeat it over here. So the raya is from the fact that the Beis Hamikdash, the fact that in the Beis Hamikdash they brought the carbon until the end of the 4th hour, and we know that's the shita that Rabbi Yehuda is aligned with when he says that you could daven until the 4th hour. So that's how we know that a shita must be that the whole time that you could bring the carbon which is until the end of the 4th hour, you'd also be able to daven. So that was the first thing he said. The other thing he said was, what happens, and this was the Shaila Victor asked yesterday, what if you missed Musaf and you missed Mincha and you're at the end of the day and you have time only to daven one tefillah, Musaf or Mincha, right? You asked that question yesterday. Which one should you daven? I think you brought it up yesterday.
Along those lines.
No.
We'll have to check the tape.
So, okay, so what happens if you're at the end of the day and you can only daven Musaf or Mincha and you don't know which one to daven? So he brings down, I don't remember who he quoted from, but he brings down Avada, you should daven Musaf first. Why should you daven Musaf first? Because Mincha, you could daven two Ma'aribs. You can make a teshluma for Mincha, but you cannot make a teshluma for Musaf. So if you daven Musaf, you'll still be able to make a teshluma for Mincha, and that's only if you don't take a nap afterwards and miss that too.
You can only do that in the case of an oinus. So is that considered an oinus? Like why did you run out of time?
I don't
You
know.
ran out of
Right,
time
that's
for
right.
Musaf,
Right.
and so it forces your mincha. Is that now?
There's also a shaila. Oh, that's weiter. That's going on plug. Okay. Zog the Heilige Gemara weiter. Ve'al Talmud shel Shacher shekara v'arba shoyis. Zog the Gemara man Tana lahodit nan. Who is the Tana of the following Mishnah? It says v'cham hashemesh v'noma. So this is talking about the mon. The pasuk tells us v'yilkatu oisoi ba'boiker ish kefi achloi v'cham hashemesh v'nomos. When the sun gets heated up, then at that point, which was the end of the Zman Lakita Samon, it dissolved. So I just want to focus on this pasuk a little bit because it'll become relevant. Vayilkatu oisoi baboiker. It says the word baboiker twice. The Gemara is going to shtelzach on that soon. Ishkafi achloi, and then after that time of Lakita, v'cham hashemesh v'namas, the mon dissolved. So the Brachos says, when did it dissolve? Ba'arba shoyis. It dissolved 4 hours in the day. Ata oimer b'arba shoyis. You're telling me that it dissolved at 4 hours in the day. Oy einay ella b'shei shoyis. Maybe it only dissolved after chatzos. Kishu oimer kachayim hayoim. By Avram Avinu it says, Vayera Hashem Elah ve'loinei mamrei v'yoshev pesach ha'oil kachayim hayoim. So there's a difference in the comment of the cham of the shemesh, the warmth of the sun, versus the warmth of the day. And the Gemara is going to shtelzach on that soon and explain the difference. But the difference would be is, earlier in the day, before it gets really, really hot, you'll be nice and warm if you're standing in sunlight. You might not be so warm if you're standing in the shade. But at high noon, when it's really hot outside, even standing in the shade, you're going to be warm.
What time of year? When the Malachim came to Chaim Hayom, it was Pesach. And here it's a month after Pesach, right? And it's much warmer, so the time of the heat
That's
comes
true.
later.
But in every single day, no matter what time of the year it is, it will be warmer at high noon than it would typically be a couple of hours earlier.
The point will be at a different time, right? We're talking about the melting of the
The dissolving was due to the heat, or the dissolving
to the heat of
to
the sun.
the heat of the sun?
Yeah.
So what if this mun that's in the shade, that didn't dissolve?
Where's the shade?
I guess it took long.
Oh, it was in the middle, so there was no shade there at all. Could be. There was no shade. Who said there was shade in the middle?
Behind the cactus, you know?
I hear. So Al Kolpam, the Shaila was that it happened, was it 4 hours or was it 6 hours? Amru, Mani Mikayim, V'cham Hashemesh, V'namas, B'arba Shois. Since there's a difference, the way the Torah describes the Chaim Hayoim and the Cham Hashemesh, we'll say it doesn't mean 6 hours, it means 4 hours. So Frek the Gemara Mani, Eloi Rabbi Yehuda, V'loi Rabbanan. This brisa is not consistent with Rabbi Yehuda, nor is it consistent with Rabbanan. Rabbi Yehuda, if you want to say it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda, Ad Arba Shois Nami Tzafrahu. Rabbi Yehuda holds until the end of the 4th hour, it's still morning, because you could still daven then. Rabbanon Ad Chatzois Nami Tzafrahu. And if it's going to go to Rabbanon, until Chatzois it's the morning. And it says in the pasuk, Vayilkatu Oisei Baboiker, meaning they were able to gather them on all morning. All morning does not correspond to either to 4 hours. If it starts melting or dissolving at the beginning of the 4th hour, that doesn't correspond to anyone's morning. It doesn't correspond to the morning of the Chachamim, and it doesn't correspond to the morning of Rabbi Yehuda. So actually, I can explain it in such a way where it will be consistent side with Rabbi Yehuda and side with Rabbanan. Omar Kra, the pasuk says, "Baboiker, baboiker." The Torah repeats the word baboiker twice. You know why? Chalkeu l'shnei bekarim. Split the day, split the morning in half. So the first 3 hours and the second 3 hours. So according to the Chachamim, baboiker, baboiker means only for the first half of the boiker. Only for 3 hours, which would make sense that at the beginning of the 4th hour, v'cham hashemesh v'namas. Or you could say it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda. And he learns, Hai boiker yisera lahaktim loy shah achas. It's just telling you that don't think you have all morning to collect them on. You have all morning less 1 hour, again, which means in the 4th hour, it's v'namas. D'chul almamiyah, v'cham hashemesh v'namas ba'ar b'shois. I'll call upon him, it's clear that everybody learns at the beginning of the 4th hour is when the mon starts to dissolve. My mashma, where do you see that in these words? Amar Abacha Bar Yaakov, Amar Kra, the pasuk says, V'cham hashemesh v'namas, the sun gets heated up and dissolves it. Ezu shah she'hashemesh cham v'atzel tzoinen. What part of the day is it warmer under the sun's rays directly, but not if you're in shade? That's how we know it's not high noon, because in high noon it's even warm if you're in the shade. I'd love to go test it out. I think we should do a shiur trip to a place where we can test this concept. You know, Zogt Gemara weiter. That's right. Now we're up to a fascinating sugya. We're going to discuss the sugya of plug. It's very relevant to us because we daven mincha early on Erev Shabbos, especially in the summer, so that we could start Shabbos earlier. Now this is that sugya. So let's see what the Gemara says. Amr le Rab Chisda le Rab Yitzchak. Rab Chisda told Rab Yitzchak, Hasam Amr Rav Kahana halacha k'Rabbi Yehuda. Hoyel utnan bebechirasa kavase. We learned earlier that halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda because the Mishnah Edus is with him, and that's Lagabe Tfilah Shal Shachris. Hachamai, what about a shita about mincha? Rabbi Yehuda holds that the time for davening mincha ends earlier than erev. It's an hour and a quarter Shosh Maniyos before the end of the day. What's the halacha? Ishtik. Rabbi Yitzchak did not have an answer. Omar Rab Chisda said, I want to know the halacha. We got to look into this. Nechsenan. Midarav, we know that Rav matzli shal Shabbos ba'erev Shabbos mibojoim. Rav would be mikabel Shabbos early. He would daven ma'ariv of Shabbos mibojoim, meaning before nighttime after plag. Shemamina halacha Rabbi Yehuda. So clearly you see that Rav is patlining like Rabbi Yehuda. And there's a big shaila in the Rishonim if this was only on erev Shabbos, because there's also an inyan of Tois for Shabbos, and that's why he davened early, or is it like this every day as well? So there's actually a shaila, like that in the Rishonim. So tomorrow Adarabba Midir Rav Huna v'Rabbanon lo yav matzli ad urta, from the fact that there has a hakpada of Rav Huna and the Rabbanon bedafka not to daven Ma'ariv Friday night until after nightfall. Shemamina ain't halacha Rabbi Yehuda. That would prove that we don't pass like Rabbi Yehuda. So hashta loy itmar hilchosa loy kemar. V'lo chamar, since we don't have a clear declaration of whether or not the psak is like Rabbi Yehuda or like the Rabbanon, lagabi, the time of mincha, the Ovid Kamar Ovad, or the Ovid Kamar Ovad, no matter how you do is good. So there's different shalos in the Rishonim, but certain Rishonim will hold you have to pick your shita and you have to stick with it every day. We learn, like the other Rishonim, we pass like the other Rishonim, that on each individual day you shouldn't do a tarti the sasri. Meaning if today you're davening mincha after plag, don't daven mincha, don't daven ma'ariv before night. But if today you daven mincha before plag, I can daven ma'ariv after plag, and tomorrow I can daven mincha after plag and daven ma'ariv after nightfall. I could do that. There's even a tzad in the Rishonim that if there's a tzibur and it's possible that people are going to leave and not daven, you're allowed to do a tarti the sasri also. There's even such a shita. So he asks. There's some of the Rishonim ask a kasha. I think I don't remember who he asks it from, but he asked the kasha. There's a Gemara that says that if you paskin, if there's two shitas and you paskin lekula both ways, that's a rosha, because you're burning two ends of a candle. You can't paskin like one lekula like the other lekula if you're tied to the sasrei. So how could you say that you could do it? So on that they answer that that's only on a deraisa. On a shayla of a deraisa, you cannot be makel like two people. But on all these mani tefillah, which is only a derabanan, you're allowed to go with a tarti the sasri, just not in one day. Zok tehilek gemar weiter. Rav ikloi levegeniva. Right. That's right. So Rav ikloi levegeniva. Rav showed up one day to the house of Geniva. Vitzoli shall Shabbos be'erev Shabbos, and he davened like his minig was, like we learned earlier. He would daven ma'ariv early on Friday night. V'havamatzi Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba lachoyrei de Rav, and Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba davened behind Rav, and he actually davened weekday Shemoneh Esrei, because he was davening mincha when Rav was davening ma'ariv, and he was standing somewhat behind Rav. V'sayim Rav finished Shemoneh Esrei. Now, imagine that Rav is in one place, and Rav Yirmiyah is behind Rav and a little bit to his right. Now, Rav, in order to leave the Bishmei Esher to go wherever he wanted to go, had to head to the right. So, as he was headed to the right, he would have to walk in front of Rav Yirmiyah, because Rav Yirmiyah was still in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei. So what happened was Rav finished, yet he remained standing where he was, and he didn't walk across the Bishmei Esher in front of Rav Yirmiyah. So this is the story, and Shemami Notlas, the Gemara extracts three halachas from Rav's action or inaction. Shemami no mispal adam shal Shabbos be'erev Shabbos. We see from Rav that he was willing to daven ma'ariv a Friday night early. Ushmami no mispal Talmud achoyei rabbi. A Talmud's allowed to daven right behind his Rebbe, and we're going to soon see that that's not so pashut. V'shmami no osir la'aver keneged hamispalin. You're also not allowed to walk across in front of people who are davening.
I remember sometime since we started this Masechta, we learned that I think you brought this up from Rabbi Elton. If you want to daven Tefillah Tzibur, could I
daven one tefillah or somebody else a different tefillah?
Yeah, that too.
Right. Well, we don't know that. Maybe they were both davening b'yechidus here.
No.
We don't know what was happening over here.
Okay. You said one of them was done Mitzvah, one of them was.
That's right.
One of them was done Marv.
That's right.
So
they daven together. I don't know if there's a minyan, and I don't know what the minyan was davening. Maybe I don't know, but that's a good point. This would be a support to the halacha of Rabbi Shua ben Levi. The Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Osir lavor keneged hamispalin. You're not allowed to walk in front of people who are davening. Any is that so for Rabbi Ami, for Rabbi Asi, Cholfi. Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi would walk in front of people that were davening. So tomorrow, that's not a kasha. Rabbi Ami, Rabbi Asi, chutz la'arba amas huda chalfi. They only walked in front of somebody if they were more than 4 amas in front of him. But if they're within 4 amas, they would not have done it.
this story could have taken place by the oil.
Rabbi Yirmiyah, heichi aver hachi. How could Rabbi Yirmiyah have done this? How could he have davened right behind Rav? For Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, la'olam al yispal al adam. A person should never daven I have to finish the sentence because I don't mean to say a person should never daven. There are certain conditions. I hope no one shut off the broadcast now and say, "Oh, a person shouldn't daven." How you spell Adam? Loy keneged Rabbi. You shouldn't daven. Keneged Rabbi Rashi tells us as Eitzel Rabbi, beside his Rebbe, Umar and Kilo Im Shavim, and this is the makar why Rabbanim sit on the Mizrach, so that there should be a distinction between where they sit. Utanya Beliezer Aimer Hamispala Chayyeh Rabbi. If you daven behind your Rebbe, Rashi says Nami you harahu. It looks like you're trying to show you're great, that you're purposely davening behind him. Or Vanoisin Shalom al Rabbi, or if you give Shalom to your Rebbe, Vamachza Shalom al Rebbe, or if you answer your Rebbe with Shalom. We're going to have to see what's the problem with these things. If your Rebbe says Shalom, why wouldn't you answer him? We'll see in a second. V'achoylek al yeshivotes Rabbi, and if you argue on your Rebbe, v'omer davar shaloi shama mipi Rabbi, or if you say over a halacha that you didn't hear from your Rebbe, goyim l'shchina shetistalek miYisrael. So let's break these down one by one. Davening l'chayyeh Rabbi, Rashi says you harahi. Tosfos has a very interesting comment. The first Tosfos, Pirush Rashi mishum you hara. But v'yesh mefarish shenira k'mishtachav l'Rabbi. It looks like if you're davening behind him and you're bowing down to him, it looks like you're bowing down to your Rabbi. So that's the problem. Let's look at Shalom Rabbi. What's the problem with Shalom Rabbi? So Rashi says, Kishar Kol Adam, Shalom Alecha. That's not how you're supposed to address your Rebbe. Shalom Alecha Rebbe. You have to tell your Rebbe Shalom Aleichem Rebbe, and that's the issue of Noishin Shalom Machshir Shalom. And Tosfos says, Noishin Shalom Rabbi Machshir Shalom, Pirish Kishar B'nei Adam Sheino Imer Shalom Alecha Rebbe, V'ayid Arminu Kidei Shilosh Talmud L'Rav. Inami Yahulach At Chila Kamer Uve Talmud Chaver D'Shari Chalchanid L'Kamon. By a Talmud Chaver, it will be allowed.
So 1 second, you're standing. Is the Rebbe facing you? Is this a Mizrach Vant and the Rebbe's davening against you?
We're not talking about davening here at all.
No, but you're saying
by a Chayyeh Rabbi,
yeah.
no, that means no. You're both facing the same direction.
So then, but that happens in every base. You're always behind somebody.
No, it means so close that he can't back up.
That's what it means.
Zokt HaVigdor?
It says.
Yeah, it has to be very close.
You can't
Right.
back up.
Okay.
But so any squash-based medrash you've never been to,
You're davening so close behind your Rebbe that he's unable to back up.
Safe space.
No, that's why you're supposed to put people right behind your Rav who hate him. So you don't have to worry that they're bowing down to him. So I'm sure we could arrange that. So to Gemara, how could Rabbi Yirmiyah have done this? So to Gemara, shiny Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, the Talmud Chaver Hava. He was a Talmud Chaver. There's a shiur what Talmud Chaver means. If it means he was either it means he didn't learn Roiv Limudim from that Rabbi, he only learned some things from him, or it could mean that he started off as a Talmud and he eventually grew and he became an equal. Or Talmud Chaver could Talmud mean a peer. Behind it to come Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba l'Rav mi badlus. Rabbi Yirmiyah, when he addressed Rav, he said, "Mi badlus." After you davened this Ma'ariv early, did you stop doing malacha? But the way he asked it was "Mi badlus," which is how you would greet a friend. "Mi badlus amalei." I'm sorry, "Mi badlus amalei in bedilna." I did stop. So Rav responded, "I did stop doing malacha." But had Rav been Rabbi Yirmiyah's Rebbe in Gansen, what he should have said was, "V'lei amar mi badl mar." He just asked me, Badal, did you stop doing malacha? When you're addressing your Rebbe, you're saying, Meet Badal Mar. Did Rebbe stop doing malacha? And since Rabbi Yirmiyah did not greet Rav that way, it clearly shows that Rav wasn't the Rebbe of Rabbi Yirmiyah. It says also, Va'imr davar shalishama mipirabai, goyim l'shchina shetisalak miYisrael. So it probably means you should only be quoting, you should be exclusively quoting your Rebbe. Or it could mean what my Rosh Yeshiva told me many times, is I don't mind if you say over my Torah in your name, just don't say over your Torah in my name. So that's Omer Davar Shaloi Shamim Pi Rabbi. So don't say over your Narishkeiten in my name. Okay. The reason why it's Kazash et Eshtalik Shechina Mi Yisrael is because it's a lack of covet. Where do you see that a lack of covet will cause that there should be schiluk ashchina? So Rabbi Elevin spoke out of Gemara that says, regarding kibbut of aim, that the Rebbeinu Shalom will not go near. In other words, there will also be schiluk ashchina if someone is not mechabed his parents, because the Rebbeinu Shalom will say, "Hey, this is a place where people are not respectful to those that they should be respectful to. I don't want to be here." So that's why it's goyim schiluk ashchina. Did Rav actually stop doing malacha after he davened Ma'ariv early? For Amar Rabbi Avin, Pam Achas Hispal Rebbe Shel Shabbos be'erev Shabbos. I once saw Rebbe daven make Shabbos early, daven Ma'ariv early. V'nichnas l'merchatz. After he davened Ma'ariv, he went into the merchatz. V'yotza, and he came out of the merchatz. V'shonel on Perkin, and he gave a shiur. V'adayin le'chashcha. There wasn't even dark yet. So it seems like he was doing a malacha afterwards. Amarav Ahuda nichnas la'aziyah. He wasn't going to wash himself. He was only there to enjoy the shvitz, which is usher now because of Gzeira. But the Kodim Gzeira Hava, when Rebbe went in, it was before the Gzeira. So in fact, he wasn't doing a malacha. And the Gzeira was because people would go wash, and they would tell people they're only going to the shvitz. So because of that, the Rabbanan said, don't go at all. And is that so? V'habayi shorer leili Rabdimi bar Livoi. Abayi was matter to Rabdimi bar Livoi lechavruye saleh to spice up. They used to put spices and burn them underneath them, and he allowed them to do those spices after they davened Ma'ariv. That's mamash hamalacha. That's fire. That was a mistake because they thought it was dark. It was a cloudy day. In fact, they thought it was dark, and it really was not dark yet.
They davened Ma'ariv too early.
That's right. They davened Ma'ariv too early. They thought it was dark, and it really wasn't dark yet. So Rashi says, "Loi kibul olav tois v'Shabbos mishas tvila midas." They were makabel Shabbos because of a mistake, thinking that it was dark, but they really would not have wanted to be makabel Shabbos so early. Would not have had validity, and therefore they were allowed to do a malacha afterwards. In fact, the more Amar Avidon, Avidon told us that Pamachas Niskashu Shemayim ba'oven. Once upon a time, it happened that the sun got full of clouds; it became dark. Because the Olam thought that this was on the Shabbos afternoon. They thought it was Motzei Shabbos. They went into the Beis HaKnesses. And they davened Ma'ariv of Motzei Shabbos, and then v'nispazu avin v'zorcha achama, and then they realized that we davened Motzei Shabbos, yet it's not Motzei Shabbos yet. Uvo v'sholo as Rebbe, they came to ask Rebbe. V'amar, he said, hoyol v'spalu. So even though they didn't do malacha, but he said you don't have to daven again because your tefillah would be valid. So if the tefillah is valid, even though it was done by mistake, on Motzei Shabbos, the same tefillah should be valid on Erev Shabbos, and it should constitute a Kabbalah Shabbos, and the malacha should be aser. So Gemara shanu tzibur to loy mitrachinin lahu. A tzibur is different, that we're not going to be matriach them. And Rashi says, Avagav deloy matos man, ein isura iser be'asiyas malacha, avagav de tu'usi. So at tzibur, even though they davened early, we will not force them to keep the iser malacha. But the tefillah was good. The fact that he said you don't have to daven Ma'ariv again, so the Rashi speaks out, a deraisa, like doing malacha on Shabbos before it says that they can't stop. But Kabbalah Shabbos early, which would be the Rabbanon, that's something that they would be able to say it shouldn't affect. But the Rashi asked Akasha, why can't you say the same chiluk? Zok to Gemara weiter. Omar Rab Chia bar Avin, Rav Toli shal Shabbos b'erev Shabbos, Rab Yossi Masli shal Motzei Shabbos b'Shabbos. Rav Toli shal Shabbos b'erev Shabbos. Did he make Kiddush? Did he make Kiddush also early? Tashma, Damar B'Nachman, Shmuel, Mispal, Adam, Shal Shabbos, Be'erev Shabbos, V'omer Kiddush Alakosh, and you could also make Kiddush. V'hilchos HaKavasei, and the halach is like him. Rabbi Yossi, Master Shal Motzei Shabbos B'Shabbos, Omer Avdallah Alakosh, or Eina Omer Avdallah Alakosh. Rabbi Yossi, who davened Ma'ariv early Motzei Shabbos, did he make Avdallah early? Tashma, Damar B'Damar Shmuel, Mispal, Adam, Shal Motzei Shabbos B'Shabbos, V'omer Avdallah Alakosh, and you could also make Avdallah early. And Tosfos tells us that's only if you have an emergency that you have to leave right after Shabbos, and you won't be able to make Avdallah otherwise. But of course, l'chatchila, normally you're not allowed to do that. Amar Abder, Amar Basi, Amar Belozer, Amar Chanina, Amar Rav, Amar. Oh, Tashma. Amar Bidamar Shmuel. Mispal Adam Shal Motzei Shabbos b'Shabbos. V'Omer Havdalah Lakois. And you can say Havdalah Lakois. Amar Abzeir, Amar Abasi, Amar Belozer, Amar Chanina, Amar Rav. B'tzad Amid Zeh Hispal Rabbi Shmuel b'Rabbi Yossi Shal Shabbos b'Erev Shabbos. The side of this Amud, Rabbi Shmuel b'Rabbi Yossi davened Ma'ariv early on a Friday night. Kiyasa Ula, when Ula came, Amar he said, B'tzat Tamar Hava, This story that you're saying is 100% accurate, except for a couple of small details that we're going to change. It wasn't this amud, it was a tamara, it was a date tree. It wasn't Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, it was Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi. It wasn't Friday night, but other than that, it's exactly like what you said. Tfilas Erev ein lekfa. My ein lekfa. What does it mean? There's no kfa for tfilas erev. If it just means that you could have a ma'ariv all night, so it should have said, "Listen to tfilas erev kol halayla." Elama ein lekfa. What is the connotation of the ein lekfa that he wants to bring out? Commandam tfilas arvis rishos. To teach us that tfilas arvis is rishos. Don't Rabbi Shmuel tfilas arvis. Rabbi Gamliel Amar Chayva. Rabbi Shua Amar Rishos. Amar Abaye halacha kedivrei Amar Chayva. Abaye paskos at Ma'ariv is Chayva. V'Rav Amar halacha kedivrei Amar Rishos. Tan Rabban. Ma'aseh b'talmud echad shabal of Rabbi Shua. A Talmud came to Rabbi Shua who was actually older than Rabbi Gamliel. Amar lei tfilas albus Rishos Chayva. Amar lei Rishos it's Rishos. Bal of Rabbi Gamliel who was the Nasi. Amar lei tfilas arvis Rishos Chayva. Amar lei Chayva. Amar lei you Rabbi Gamliel. You're telling me that it's Chayva? I asked the other Rav, and he told me not like that. V'lo Rabbi Shua Amar lei Rishos. Amar lei. You know what? Rabbi Gamliel said, "Hamtin achi yichnusu bala treason lebeis hamedrash." I'm sorry.
I know who this Talmud was. Why do you
Rabbi
say
Shua was older,
was older?
because the article
Rabbi
says,
Shua was older.
yeah,
I
Rabbi
thought
Shua
you
was
said-
older.
No, I thought you said
Oh
the
no,
Talmud-
no, Rabbi Shua was older.
The Talmud is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai.
That's right. Rabbi Shua was older. So he says, let's wait till the big guns come in. Bala treason means those who have shields, meaning the warriors in Torah. Kishenichnusu bala treason. Amar hashoyel v'shol. The shoyel got up again, and Chaim Tzvi is telling us that was Rabbi Yochanan.
I made a mistake. The Gemara doesn't say who it is, so I'm not saying.
Okay. V'shol tfilas arvis v'shus chayva. Amar le Rabbi Gamliel chayva. Amar lehem Rabbi Gamliel lechachamim. Klum yesh adam shechalik b'davar zeh. Is there anybody who argues on this? Amar le Rabbi Yeshua. Lav. Rabbi Yeshua said no. Nobody argues. Rabbi Yeshua denied that he argued on Rabbi Gamliel. It's covered for Rabbi Gamliel. He denied it. Amar le, what are you talking about, Rabbi Yeshua? I heard over in your name. V'le meshimcha amar le rishos. Amar le, Rabbi Gamliel wanted to make a point, and he said, Yeshua, amod al raglecha, stand up, v'yidubach, and we're going to say this on you. Amar Rabbi Yeshua, Amar Rabbi Yeshua Raglav, Amar El Mali Ani Chai v'Humeis. If I was alive and he was dead, Yochel Chai Lachash Hameis, I'd be able to deny it. V'Achshav Shani Chai v'Hu Chai, Heich Yochel Chai Lachash Chai. I can't deny it because he would have only denied it als covered for Rabbi Gamliel. Hay Rabbi Gamliel Yossi v'Darish. So Rabbi Gamliel forced Rabbi Yeshua to stand there in embarrassment while he said the shiur. For Rabbi Yeshua Amar Raglav, Acher Raninu Kala Adam Kala Am, until the whole oilam made a tumult. And you couldn't even hear anymore. Stop the shiur, because we have to protest the fact that Rabbi Yeshua is being abused by Rabbi Gamliel. They said, "At kamen etzari v'nezel." How far should we allow Rabbi Yeshua to be embarrassed? And tomorrow, Hashem Chaim Tzvi will talk about the other incidences where Rabbi Yeshua was humiliated, and because of that, they wanted to depose Rabbi Gamliel and put in Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah instead. And that's the story that Chaim Tzvi is going to get. I was dying to be able to say that story, but I got cut off, so I can't.
Yeah, maybe we should do it.
So I'm coming back Monday. Chaim Tzvi is saying shiur tomorrow, Shabbos and Sunday.
I'm online tomorrow.